Let me tell you something very simple, yet so powerful that it can completely change the direction of your life. Consistency is the secret ingredient that most people overlook. We tend to get fascinated by the idea of massive leaps, giant breakthroughs, and dramatic transformations. But if you look at the people who truly built something lasting, you'll notice that their greatness was not the result of one sudden stroke of genius. It was the result of doing small things over and over until those things created a momentum that could not be stopped. Small actions, when done consistently, carry far more power than bursts of effort followed by long gaps of inactivity. Think about it this way: if you decide to exercise once a month, even if you go all out for hours in the gym, it won't make a difference. Your body won't change. But if you commit to 20 minutes a day, every day, that simple routine will transform you. The same applies to reading, learning, saving money, building relationships, or working on your dreams. It's not about how much you do in a single day, but about how much you repeat, how much you build upon, and how much you refuse to let go of. The real power of consistency is that it compounds. Just like money grows with interest, your habits grow with time. You might not see results at first. In fact, that's where most people give up. They plant a seed, and when it doesn't bloom in a week, they abandon the soil. But those who keep watering, keep nurturing, keep showing up, are the ones who eventually see the tree grow tall and strong. It is not the size of the effort that matters in the beginning. It is the persistence of the effort. The moment you stop expecting instant results and start trusting the process, you've already set yourself apart from the majority. Consistency also builds trust within yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you're telling your mind, I can rely on me, that trust is priceless. When you know you can rely on yourself to show up every day, even when it's not convenient, you build an inner strength that cannot be shaken. It's not about motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Consistency, on the other hand, doesn't care about your mood. It simply asks, will you show up today? And if the answer is yes, even on the days when you don't feel like it, then you are shaping yourself into someone unstoppable. Another beauty of consistency is how it redefines your identity. Every repeated action is a vote for who you are becoming. If you write a page a day, you're not just writing, you're becoming a writer. If you practice gratitude daily, you're not just saying thank you, you're becoming a grateful person. If you work on your goals a little every day, you're not just moving forward, you're becoming someone who refuses to quit. Identity follows habit, and habit follows consistency. It is the bridge between who you are today and who you are destined to be. But here's what stops people: they underestimate the power of the small. They think, what difference does it make if I skip one day? What they don't realize is that missing one day isn't about losing progress, it's about breaking the pattern. Success is fragile in the beginning, and if you protect it long enough with consistency, it grows stronger until it no longer depends on willpower. It becomes part of you. Missing once may not ruin you, but making excuses regularly will. Discipline is built in the moments when it's easiest to walk away. So I challenge you to choose one habit, just one, and commit to doing it consistently. Don't overwhelm yourself with 10 new routines that will fizzle out in a week. Pick one thing that truly matters and give your focus every single day. Do it whether you feel like it or not. Watch what happens when you stack day after day, week after week. Before long, you'll look back and realize how far you've come, not because you made one giant leap, but because you made countless small steps without stopping. The truth is, you don't need to do everything at once. You just need to do something every day. Over time, those small actions will transform not only your results, but your belief in what is possible. Consistency is not glamorous, but it is the difference between wishing for a better life and actually creating one. And if you can master that, there is nothing you cannot achieve. When people hear the word discipline, they often think of restriction, of rules, of something that takes away freedom. But in reality, the opposite is true. Self-discipline is not about limiting your life. It is about creating the structure that allows you to live with real freedom. Without discipline, you become a slave to your impulses, your distractions, and your moods. With discipline, you take control of your time, your energy, and your choices. And that is what true freedom really means. Think about it for a moment. A person who cannot discipline themselves with money will always be trapped by debt and stress. A person who cannot discipline themselves with health will always be a prisoner of fatigue, weakness, or disease. A person who cannot discipline themselves with time will always be chasing deadlines, running late, and living in chaos. These are not examples of freedom, these are chains. On the surface, the absence of discipline feels like freedom. You eat what you want, spend what you want, do what you want in the moment. But over time, it reveals itself as the very opposite. Freedom without discipline quickly becomes imprisonment. Now look at the other side. The individual who develops self-discipline with their finances, builds savings, invests wisely, and lives without constant worry. The one who disciplines themselves in health enjoys vitality, strength, and energy to do what they love. The one who disciplines their time lives with clarity, balance, and control. Discipline creates order, and order creates space. That space is where freedom lies. It is not about being harsh with yourself. It is about being committed to yourself. Discipline is simply the act of keeping the promises you make to yourself. It is the ability to say, this is who I want to be, this is the life I want to live, and then aligning your daily actions with that vision. It doesn't mean you never enjoy yourself or never take a break. It means that you are intentional. You are not driven by impulse. You are driven by purpose. The beauty of discipline is that it doesn't rely on feelings. You may not always feel like working, studying, exercising, or focusing on your goals. If you wait for motivation, you'll achieve very little because motivation is temporary. Discipline, however, is permanent. Discipline says, I will do this regardless of how I feel because I know what it means for me, for my future, for my freedom. That mindset separates the dreamers from the achievers. What makes discipline so powerful is that it builds confidence. Every time you follow through on what you said you would do, you strengthen your belief in yourself. That belief is the foundation of freedom because when you know you can trust yourself, you are no longer limited by doubt. You become the kind of person who can take on challenges, step into the unknown, and shape your life with certainty. The person without discipline always wonders if they'll actually stick with anything. The disciplined person knows they will because they've proven it to themselves over and over again. And let's not forget, discipline creates momentum. At first it feels like a struggle, but over time it becomes a habit. What was once difficult becomes effortless. Waking up early, staying consistent, controlling your choices, these things stop feeling like battles and start feeling natural. That is when freedom truly arrives because your discipline is no longer a burden, it's a way of being. So many people resist discipline because they think it takes the fun out of life. But what it really does is give you the ability to enjoy life more fully. When you discipline yourself to take care of your responsibilities, you can actually relax without guilt. When you discipline yourself to focus on what matters, you don't waste years on what doesn't. Discipline is not the enemy of joy, it is the path to lasting joy. Every great achievement, every fulfilled life, every story of success you admire is built on the foundation of self-discipline. It is the bridge between desire and reality. It is the tool that transforms vision into experience. Without it, your dreams remain wishes. With it, your dreams become your life. And once you understand this truth, you'll never see discipline as a cage again. You'll see it as the key that unlocks the kind of freedom most people spend their entire lives searching for but never find. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is the habit of daily reflection. We live in a world that moves so quickly, with distractions pulling us in every direction, that we rarely pause to actually think about what we are doing, why we are doing it, and who we are becoming in the process. Reflection is not about dwelling on the past or feeling regret. It is about sharpening your awareness, learning from your experiences, and using that awareness to grow into a better version of yourself each day. Think of reflection as a mirror for your mind and soul. Just like you check your appearance in the mirror every morning before stepping out into the world, you also need to check the state of your thoughts, your actions, and your choices. Without that check, you can easily drift through life on autopilot, repeating the same patterns and making the same mistakes without ever realizing it. Reflection helps you step off that treadmill and see where you truly stand. It allows you to ask important questions. Did I live today in alignment with my values? Did I use my time wisely? Did I treat others the way I want to be treated? And perhaps the most powerful question of all, did I move even a little closer to the person I want to become? When you make reflection a daily practice, something magical begins to happen. You start to notice patterns in your behavior. You become aware of the habits that are lifting you up and the ones that are quietly pulling you down. You begin to see how small decisions accumulate and how they are shaping your future. This awareness gives you the power to adjust before things spiral out of control. Reflection turns your experiences into lessons and lessons into growth. Without reflection, life just happens to you. With reflection, life happens for you because you're actively learning from everything that takes place. It doesn't take hours of your time. Even a few minutes of silence, writing in a journal, or simply sitting with your thoughts can shift your entire perspective. The act itself is less important than the consistency of it. What matters is that you are pausing long enough to take inventory of your day and asking yourself what it taught you. Reflection sharpens the mind in the same way sharpening a blade makes it effective. A dull blade can't cut and a dull mind can't grow. Reflection keeps you sharp, focused, and aware of the opportunities for improvement that are always around you. Another gift reflection brings is gratitude. When you look back on your day, you not only notice what went wrong or what needs work, you also notice what went right. You start to see the moments you might have overlooked, the kind word from a stranger, the opportunity that came your way, the strength you showed in a difficult situation. Gratitude deepens when you reflect, and that gratitude fuels a more positive and fulfilling life. Daily reflection also protects you from living reactively. Too many people let life push them around. They react to problems, react to other people's moods, react to circumstances without ever pausing to ask, how do I want to respond? When you reflect each day, you train yourself to live with intention. You begin to respond with clarity instead of reacting out of habit. That small shift changes everything. Your relationships, your work, your peace of mind. What's truly remarkable is how reflection connects you to your deeper self. When you get quiet and honest with yourself, you begin to hear that inner voice that is often drowned out by noise and business. That voice guides you toward your truth. It shows you where you're lying to yourself, where you're playing small, and where you're capable of much more. Listening to it regularly builds self-awareness, and self-awareness is the root of growth. So I encourage you, no matter how busy life gets, to take that time each day to pause, to reflect, to ask yourself the right questions. Because growth does not come from constant motion, it comes from deliberate awareness. And when you sharpen that awareness through reflection, you put yourself on a path of continuous improvement, clarity, and purpose.